Okay, this is video number 4. We're looking at the handwriting inside this book that I believe is a commonplace book used by Abraham Lincoln between 1839 and 1840. We're looking now at line 4, but before we begin, we're going to be looking at the numbers here, 1839, and this little part on Tyler, this little hook right here. Before that, also, I found another Indianapolis example. This is the Indianapolis example right here. Again, this is from Papers of Abraham Lincoln. I like going there and using them as a source because they explain clearly which documents are written by Abraham Lincoln and which are not. So we look at this Indiana, and we have 2 instances of Indiana on this document, but there's one down here where it's shortened, but right here, and you see it's same style of I, DI, any breaks, and the last part there. Another thing worth noting in Indianapolis in this case is that he puts the P right here. This type of P points up, open bottom, and I don't know if he has an example of that here. I guess this is an example. This is an example. Peak up, down, around. So that would be an example of Indianapolis. Okay, next we look at the word Tyler. You see this little hook of an R at the end. If we look at his speech on Texas in 1848, page 10, and a few other pages, there are some really good examples of this R. And let's just take a look. Again, we're looking at the R, and you can see the R in this after page 10 on this word neither. So he does that at the end. He does a lot. If you scroll, you can see the G's that are used similarly. Continually uses those in this document, but this style of R that he's using, he's still using in 1848. And he does it sometimes smaller, sometimes larger, more prominent, sometimes less prominent. But it's a dipping over. And again, looking at this, we can see things like his G's. You can see the P, this open P that he does, that's in Indianapolis. Many other examples as well. The broken president, 2 words. President is twice in the sample. Breaks it into 2 parts. Alright. The next part is, let's go ahead and we're going to be looking at the 1839. And as we look at it, we're going to look at the 1839, we find that document. Give you an example. This one from 1837. This is a good one from 1837 because it has the 3 with the curly on top. Now he does this all his 3s have that. And you can also see this 7 goes down, just like the 9 does. Well, how about his 9s? Keep in mind we also have some other examples as we're looking at this. For example, we have this E flips, and we also have an example of how he shortens words like Mr., December, November, and these also pop up when he's shortening these words like Indianapolis. I believe this word is convention, and also this might be doctor or drive. I'm not sure what this is about on this D to R. So we go to Papers of Abraham Lincoln, and we go to, let's say, 1839, or we find a document that says 1839. Let's just find one very quickly. any given document written by Abraham Lincoln in 1839 will be in a similar format. That should have a 3 with a little curly on top, and the 9 should be like a lightning bolt going down. So let's see if we can find it. Okay, this document, Abraham Lincoln wrote the body of this letter and a signature. It's dated. It does not look like it's dated. Let's try one more. This is dated 1839. It's the Stewart, and there it's located. See how I go about finding the information. And we looked at it, and it says 1839. We have a 1 slanted and 18 open top. This time it's closed top. It starts from the top, finishes on the side. We have a curly 3, and we have that style of 9 where it's like a rolling down beneath, subordinate to the 3. And we have that again here at the bottom. You see the curl at the bottom there. Along with this document, you can see that there are other samples or examples that fit. The V, for example, fits there. The ending of a sentence with an S, like has, or a word with the word has. If you look here, that S goes down. It's created whenever he does that. The P's, open P's, are available also in this sample, as well as a good example of the strange looking E he does here that is similar to this E right here. So he does this in his letters. Let's see if we can find one more when he dates it with a 3 in the 1830s. They are going to have a curly top. Let's see one more time. Let's see if we can get one more. This is from 1839. It's dated, and we have another sample. We can pull this up, and again we see that same style where it goes round, down, it's repeated. And then we also have a V. The V in this case is similar to that V. We have the shortening of the word Mr. And there are, with this document, there are some other examples as well. But I think the general idea for the numbers is given. Next, let's take a look at the word Virginia right here. For sake of time, I'm just going to show you the Virginia one and try to push through this one quickly now that we're establishing that there are a lot of similarities. So here's another V, and then Van Buren. This again is from Papers Abraham Lincoln, 1836, in December. And this compares. This is the style he does in the early part. He doesn't loop through like he does later on. Just to compare. All right. Okay. Good. Then for Virginia, we see that there, for the V, the capital V, there are similarities. Also, the R, it remains in there, and there are other parts that he does when he writes the word Virginia. Coming back to the Tyler here, we have the Tyler, we have the R. We talked about that. He often uses lines within his writing. Any given writing, he's going to be using hyphens and lines in. Let's just see if he has them in here. Here are the lines. Puts in each of his writings. Does it often, and it's no different than in this part right here. The D in this case is this style of D, but what is happening is he's going down, up, and he's attaching it to the top end of the parenthesis here. And this also happens here. He's going down around, and he's attaching it to the top part. So there's samples of this would be, to show you, is right here. So you can see how he goes up with the D's in certain documents when he's attaching it to a higher or to another letter that would drive it up, or to an abbreviation. In this case, Dear Sir, looks like. So that's right here. You can see it goes there. He does that when he does things like a DR. I'm not sure what that is about. And then you have another one, another example. But these are some of the samples that we have that you can see that have those D's in them. You see D, C, right? This is his handwriting, and how he attaches it to the top. And with that, I mean, again, you can see just off of this that we have the same D, and we have the same C. Really, other than this one being a little wider, this C and that D are very much the same. The W, the G's. Okay, we move on to the word Harrison. This is where look at Harrison. We have H. This H is located, the correct H, or the H that would be most normally used by Lincoln, we're going to see in the front of the book. So if this is an anomaly, I'm not sure what happened here, but that's not a standard H. But the standard H is located right here as submitted in the first video. Again, you see the V, and you can see the outlining of this H. And so if we go to the some of his early writing, for example, in 1832 from this, or 1834, this is a roster from 1832. You look at the pencil marks in the front. This also says Harrison, vote of Harrison, page 18. It's shortened. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but you can see it goes up, it comes down, it goes around, flips around, and it comes down right here, and I'm not clear about what is happening here. But this is an H, and the reference of this 18 has to do with the vote of Harrison during, I believe his legislative career back in the 1820s. So this H is established that we see here on the front cover. But back to the name Harrison itself, when we look at the word Harrison. So what are some of the quirks about it? Well, he'll break it up into two parts. And we see the flourishment that he puts in the H, and we see it in the T right above. And this C thing he does is located in his regular C. But you can see it's broken up. The I floats somewhere in between the S and the I. He does it multiple times. It's not a one-time thing. Breaks it up. It's the old style R. There's his old style R right there. Broken into two parts. He does this also in 1832. Let's get rid of this. In his 1832 election results, this is from 2 years prior to that one. There's also a Harrison. We can zoom up to that Harrison and see if we can find it real quick. And we're located right here. And you can also see that it's the old style R. is earlier writing R, and the O is separated at that point. Everything pretty much being the same. The I floating in between, the open S at the bottom. All right, slavery. It's easy enough to find of his writings. We move on. We've seen the examples of the E. How about the F down here? Well, we have this F. Here's a good example of the F to F. And what you're going to see is what his F's do is he's got this funny little thing he does at the top, loops around, comes down at the angle, and then he makes like an H. You can see the H right there. And he does this in his different F's. One thing that is signature is sometimes he will put a little curl in the very top of his F's that look just like this. It'll be a squiggly down, up and around. And then he flips it around and come down. So let's take a look at that. And again, if you look at the bottom here are his threes with a curl. Let's see if we can pull up those threes with a curl before we go there. Okay. This is again from Papers Abraham Lincoln. This looks like it's from May 10th, 1842. And again, you have these HFs, these Fs that look like H. Just a sec here. And these are just his style. And we have this curl at the top. This time it's up and down, but sometimes it's from the side. Nothing is permanent. There's no, like this P here. That's a different P as we established. There's another F that looks like an H, comes around. In this case, he's coming around, but you can see down below he doesn't always do that. Sometimes he does, sometimes he crosses through, sometimes he loops. Right, and there are other examples as well. Okay, so this is the back end of the letter G, big letter G. This is a standard form of letter G. It also fits the pattern. I will look for one example of that as well. It's something that he would often do also. If you look at the T, for example, right here though, back to this F, you can see this little thing that he's doing on that F here in this letter. He's doing it also here, flipping around. Sometimes his F and T's look very similar. So for G, let's just go back to 1832. This document that we're looking at, the Commonplace book, is from 1839, 1840. These G's are more stylized than what's in this book, but they are the same format. Curl around, come down, right. Find some others. Here's his E's that we've talked about. The A, the F, the H's stylization, the E's in the word white. So those are, that will finish up for this part of the assessment. If there's any questions, if you'd like to see more, I can record more or show you more examples. If you find more examples in any specific area, if you see anything faulty, just let me know.